Welcome to the third episode of the Making It podcast, where I talk about my journey of making it. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Kyler Miles, and I'm a full-time content creator, a photographer, videographer, a creative, and my whole 9 to 5 life and afterwards from my 5 o'clock to 11, 12 o'clock p.m. is all about creating. It's all about doing. It's all about making something out of nothing. Now, this podcast is not derived right from everyone out there being a creative. Really, the goal of this podcast is to showcase that anyone in any field, in any area of life, goes through kind of similar situations where they want something and they don't know how to do it. They don't know how to get there. They're lost in that process of and think it's unrealistic, maybe. And I designed this podcast towards showing everybody that through daily progression in that art or that field or that hobby, whatever you're trying to do with your life, whatever you're and how you're trying to make it, that it can be done. And that is what the concept of this podcast is really all about. Really taking into strides how you can make daily progress to help you achieve what you want out of life. And this is what I have to talk about today. And this is what I really want to drive home with you guys is daily progress. I'm going to tell you a story about me because, it's the best and only the true form I can really give because it's my own experience. And this is not this is not me saying this is the best practice, is what you need to do. I'm just sharing my own experiences and how it affected me and made me realize that so many people out there are not doing enough to really make them go forward and get them to really set themselves up for success and set themselves up to achieve what they really want to. So last year, in 2018, I moved to Montreal, Quebec, coming from Vancouver, British Columbia, and not knowing the language and French, because French is the first language, not knowing the culture is a very big change. And a lot of times people would say, why would you do that kind of thing? Why would you go out and make that huge change? I fell in love. But above all, and not only that, I had a really cool and unique opportunity to transform my life, reinvent myself, and try something new. And in the back of my mind, I always envisioned and always thought it was so cool. I love photography. I love videos. I always would look up music videos and thought it was such a cool thing to be in a music video or be the person to create that. I was always interested in it. And for the first time, I really set out time within my life to progress and try if I could make that a reality. Within about, let's say, 6 months, maybe even 4 to 6 months of me going out, making tons of mistakes, not knowing what I'm doing, shooting in audio, and for a lot of photographers out there who are maybe listening, that is a real amateur move, that you're doing the daily progress and you're learning, you're making those mistakes, you're really understanding the fundamentals of what it takes to be a storyteller and a filmmaker and a photographer. Where I'm taking this story is that now we are in December of 2019 when I started my journey in January, and I'm now getting paid full-time as a content creator, as a video marketer, as a storyteller and brand manager at a company here in Montreal. So the thing that I want to bring home and talk to you guys about is that anything, and this may sound cliche, anything that you really want out of your life, you can make happen through daily progress. Almost every day, I bugged my girlfriend to take photos of her. She's very beautiful, so why wouldn't, I would take photos of her and practice, and she also took cinema, and she took art directing, so she would help me and teach me, and everything that resulted in me what I have today versus my freelance clients who are getting me and paying me gigs to film their events, to fitness promos, to music videos, so all sorts of things, was all through Daily Progress. And the fact is, a lot of my friends and myself, still to this day, we are so impatient, so want success right away. And the fact is that it takes time and it takes that daily progress. And that is the topic of my podcast. And what I really want to be talking about today is because that is something that has been fundamental to my success, at least I believe, in becoming a full-time content creator, a full-time videographer, not only from my 9 to 5 job, but also after work hours. And I've fallen in love with working with so many different people because it's really broadened my horizons, broadened my expertise, and broadened my the value I can bring to different people. And I should take that back. I am not an expert by any means. I have a year experience under my belt, but man, the amount of hours and work I put into and research and watching videos and listen to podcasts, all those things resulted in me being where I am today. So let me give you another analogy. If you're not a photographer, if you're not a videographer, and you're still not grasping what I'm putting on, let's think about this. A lot of times people would ask me, like, how did you take that leap of faith to move to Montreal? Like, weren't you scared? Weren't you nervous? And I say, yeah, I was terrified. Honestly, it's very scary. It's very terrifying, but there's never an opportunity. There's never a green light to tell you that this is the move you're going to go. If you make this one choice, that your life will be awesome and be the best life you could ever live versus a different life, right? There's no one telling you whether this is a good choice or not. You just have to go with your gut and intuition and just take that leap of faith. But a lot of people don't do that because it comes from a fear, comes from a nervousness of an uncertainty. We are animals that love I'm trying to find the word, that love routine and love the same thing over and over, because it's familiar. Think about driving, okay? Hopefully everyone listening drives, so you can relate to this analogy, but think back to when you're 16, 17 years old, first getting your driver's license. No matter how old or young you are, you had to get your driver's license. You went through some sort of test, whether it be written, whether it be driving, both, whatever. Think about that state. Think about how you felt walking into that dealership, knowing that, not dealership, ICBC, whatever, walking in and knowing that you're going to be tested on your skill of driving. Maybe you've never driven before. Think about that state that you're in. How did you feel? I felt hella nervous. Even though I was very excited to get, oh yeah, I want to learn how to drive, I want to be independent and stuff, I was still very nervous because it was unfamiliar. It was so much to look out for, what's going in front of me, what's going beside me. You don't see everything. You have to be super, super aware. It was so unfamiliar and so scary. But over time, over that year and 2 years, I then took that driver's test and passed and was a confident driver. And now I drive without even thinking. We all do. We all drive to work and back to the grocery store. You don't even think. It's just common. It's just natural now. It's because you're familiar. It's because through that daily progression or weekly progression, you become more confident in that field. You become more confident in that routine. So you have reached success in that. You've reached a successful state that if you are a confident driver, if you feel safe driving, then that's a perfect example of daily progress. And that's something we all can relate to, hopefully, if you drive. That is the only thing I can really think of that can relate to everybody is that analogy, right? Now also think about this. The first time you got pulled over from a cop, for speeding, for example. I think we all have been in that situation. Whether you got a ticket or not, you're pretty nervous. Your heart is racing. You don't know what you're doing. Whether you get a ticket or not and they leave, what happens when you drive away? You go the speed limit. you're nervous again. You don't want to go over the speed limit, because what if that happens again? You resulted in that unfamiliar, like, a cautious state. And we all go through that. And the point I'm trying to make with this is that when that person asked me that question, that how did you take that leap? How did you move to Montreal, a province you've never been to, a province where the first language that they speak is not the language that you speak? How did you take that leap? How did you know it was the right decision? And the answer is I didn't. But how did you get over that fear? Is that everything good in life is hard. Everything good in this life is hard. And the fact is that, like driving, you're very nervous and a wreck, and you may be sweating, but you will get better at it. Like anything, you're playing piano, guitar, basketball, football, soccer, whatever. Gaming, like rapping, I don't know. Like whatever you are into. Going to the gym. I mean, no one goes to the gym once and gets big and swole and looking all chiseled. It's that daily routine of eating well and going to the gym. And the people that are in the best shape have that daily progression. So I notice I'm going like left here, example after example after example. But again, I'm just really trying to put the point across is that you can achieve anything you want through daily progression, because you're not going to reach that successful state in a year, maybe even 2 years, maybe even 5 years. And after accepting that, it put a lot less pressure on me. I'm 26 years old, and you may be, in your 30s, mid 30s, 40s, or 18, 19 years old. Wherever you are, you got a long life to live. I've lived 26 years. And to think that 26 years from now, that's a heck of a long time. And then even 26 years from now, I still got another 40 years after that. We all have a long, long, long time to live. And the concept and the idea that we have to make it or be successful at a ridiculous age, at like 30 is the big one, right? I'm in my mid to late 20s. 30 is this weird cutoff that 20-year-olds fear, because they have to have everything. They have to have a house, children, marriage, a full-time career. They have to be, progressing a CEO of their own company, whatever it might be. They have to reach that success. And the fact is, most of the 30-year-olds that I know sometimes don't even know what the heck they're doing, or don't even know where they're going, is because we are still so young in the process. And don't get me wrong, you could be listening, you could be a manager or a director at 30 because you worked at that company at 20 and you did do your daily progress through all your 20s and you have reached that goal. I have very good friends that want to be a millionaire by 30, and hats off to you. I hope you achieve it, but it's such a arbitrary number. It's such a unrealistic goal, in my opinion, because not even the 1% in the world live that kind of life. Like, if you look at the stats in North America, the cutoff to reach the 1% is not even 500,000. I think it's like 320,000. That's or no, maybe a little bit more, maybe in the 400s, but not even most of the 1% live past that 1 million mark. They live in the 100,000 to 500,000 mark, which is still very huge, right? And I have friends that are making 100,000, but 100,000 to 500,000 is a big difference, right? So it's good to have ambition. It's good to have goals. You always need a direction to where you're going. And I'm not speaking to you because I have made it. I'm speaking to you from a state that I'm in the process of making it. And the things I've realized the most, in that when you look at people who are successful, let's take, for instance, Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm a big fan of Gary Vee. If anyone of you are listening and know me well, I am a huge fan of him. And he started doing videos about wine on YouTube early on. He made hundreds of videos before he reached any sort of success. Peter McKinnon, he's a famous YouTuber, a famous photographer, on YouTube, I think he posted at least like 80 to 100 videos before he even became well known. And he's a very rare story because in 1 year he went from 0 to I think over 100,000 subscribers, something like that. Don't quote me on the numbers, but he did daily progress. He every single day he posted a video, or not every day, but at least a couple times a week. He really progressed super fast and super well because he had a clear passion, a clear roadmap to what he wanted to do. And that's my whole point, is that everyone that you look out for, everyone that you look up to, pardon me, has a story like that. It's very rare. It's 1 in a million chance that person got lucky and reached success. For the rest of us that are not that one person, have to work on us and have to work on that daily progress. If you're still not believing, look up some of your idols. Look up their stories. Think about and learn about, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. He has the $7 company. I forget the name, but it's $7. He always talks about the story that he came to the States with $7 in his pocket. And now look how far he's come. $7 in your pocket with a family. I don't know how you can do that. But he progressed daily. He went to auditions. He went after and after, working a 9-to-5 job, worked out at night, and took acting classes and did all these certain things, got into wrestling, and then moved over to acting. All these people have amazing stories all around progressing daily. And again, that's my whole point. So we're moving into 2020. It's December 7th. It's the weekend. Forgive me if I don't know the date. Let's see. Yeah, December 7th. And we're thinking about Christmas. We're thinking about family. We're thinking about things that we want to do, things that we didn't get to do throughout the year. And we're also reflecting about the last year that we just, what did we do? What did we accomplish? What did we learn? And the biggest thing that anyone or any advice I can give to anyone out there is that don't worry about what the people are saying or thinking, or don't look at that way. Look at your life as where you want to be 10 years from now, and know that you're not going to reach anything else until that 10-year mark. Like, I've given myself a goal 10 years in the future because I don't want the stress of I need to be a millionaire by 30. I only have 4 years left. I gotta go, right? And don't get me wrong, there are stories out there that you can do that. It is possible. I'm not saying that, but for me, at least what works for me, and if you know me or know of me, and you feel the same thing where you're not quite sure where you want to go, or not sure, like you're feeling lost, you're feeling like you're not successful, that's not the case. You have many successes in your life, just like that driving story, and there's probably many other stories. If you're a musician, if you're playing sports, you know that you didn't wake up, you weren't born just kicking the soccer ball into the net. Some of us have true talent and are really naturally good at those things, and that's where talent comes in. But most of us weren't born that way. You weren't born playing basketball and shooting in the net. You learned. You went to practice every day. You got coached from different people. You, on your free time, you practice your free throw. There's so many examples to how this applies to your life. So sit down this year. We're almost at 2020. And when you're making your New Year's resolution, hey, listen, I make the same resolution almost every year. And it hits and misses. Always my fitness goals. And that is the biggest thing that, for me, the toughest thing is my fitness goals, because I find it so hard to give up, the good foods, the good times, going out and having fun. But make a realistic goal for yourself. Make a realistic goal and have a plan on how you can apply that to your daily progress. Because that is ultimately what you need to do. Because in life, you're not going to achieve that without that daily progress, without that small step towards what you need to do and what you want to do. I have a quote that I wrote down that I was thinking about before I came to film this, and maybe it might be a good way to end this podcast. But let me read it to you, and I have it on my notebook here, so you know that I wrote it down. So, the pursuit of perfection is poison to your mind and causing you to procrastinate, hesitate, and evaluate what you are doing. And that is what's keeping you from doing anything in the first place. So, stop trying to be perfect, because none of us are. The goal is to create something that can invoke true emotion and passion in your heart that will bring success or happiness to your life. And that is the best thing I can really think of to end this podcast, because, again, take my own example. I started this year not knowing a thing about filmmaking, photography, about how to put people in a frame. Like, I knew nothing, okay? And now I'm in December. I've shot music videos, fitness promos, events, podcasts, interviews, you name it. And it's all because of the hard work and dedication and passion. You know, I love it. I love doing what I do. And so it makes it easier. It doesn't make it look like work. So find something that you really do love. And it doesn't have to be a 9-to-5 job. It could be your side hustle, your hobby, but put in an hour at least towards that. You know, if you're into swimming, if you're into guitar, just spend an hour a day doing it. We all have that hour. We all know it. I'm sorry, even if you tell me I'm way too busy, I can't fit in time. If you have time for a Netflix show, then you have time to play with your guitar for an hour, or to learn a new language, or to go to the gym. And listen, I'm not perfect. I'm not a saint. There's so many times where I come home exhausted. You know, I haven't posted a podcast in over 2 weeks. It's because it's been crazy at work, and I have been tired. And that is okay. But I'm still making strides through education, through learning, new techniques of filming, lighting, music, and all those things result into your experience and overall quality of life. So I hope you found this podcast to be, inspiring, maybe a little bit educational. I did do a lot more research in this daily progress kind of idea, and I wanted you guys to get great value. On the next podcast, Tanya and I will be probably interviewing each other again and doing something more fun and talking about some relationship stuff. But I wanted this to be, again, all about documenting my process of making it and showing you guys that any one of you can make, and it's so cliche, but can make your dreams come true. And I really do believe it. And the key to that, at least in my opinion, is through daily progress. Thanks for tuning in. If you're watching this, thank you so much. You can listen to it on Spotify, Apple Music. If you're listening to this, you can also watch it on my YouTube channel, Instagram, what have you. But I'd love you guys to show some love, share it, whatever you like to do. If not, no worries. And hey, your feedback is always welcome, because I'm learning too as well. And it helps with my daily progress. So thank you all so much. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. If you're watching the weekend or through the week, whatever, enjoy. See you all in 2020. Man, I gotta blow today. I'ma blow today. I ain't hearing what they say.